Hey guys, welcome to Zelda Dungeon. This is Zelda Discussion. I am your host Bastion, and in this video series we sort of talk about a particular topic related to the Legend of Zelda franchise. You guys comment on that, then I read your comments and comment on your comments, and then we set up the next week's question. So this particular topic was, some people are theorizing perhaps Zelda Wii U is actually a remake of the original Legend of Zelda, and so I put it to you, what would you think about that? Would you want it to be that? Would you want to play that? And you had plenty of opinions, and I'm very excited to get to them. Johnny Elkins says, I'm just going to go ahead and put my 2 cents in this comment and say that Zelda Wii U will be an updated version of Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. I just get that feeling from when I saw the gameplay trailer, and if my feeling is right, and it is a revamped version of Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link, I hope that the difficulty is raised and not being able to use the corner trick to kill Dark Link. Well, yeah, in 3D, probably wouldn't, I guess you could, if the room is rectangular or square, you could probably go into a corner and reutilize the corner trick. I don't know that it would be Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link, though, because the landscape looks so much like... I mean, the whole reason why we're conjecturing that this is possibly a Zelda 1 remake is because the landscape looks so much identical. N-Worder for Life says, I would like a remake of the original Legend of Zelda, but I don't think Zelda U is that game. There are far too many references to Skyward Sword, such as the right-handed Link, Bokoblins, upgraded normal shield from Skyward Sword, the sailcloth, possibly Time Stone on the arrows, and of course how empty the world feels. The original Legend of Zelda had a great evil monster forcing the people away from Hyrule, but here it doesn't even feel like there is a Hyrule. It feels like the beginning of a civilization. It feels like it takes place 100 or more years after Skyward Sword. Those are all extremely good points, and I mean, yeah, it kind of does feel like it's a sequel to Skyward Sword in a lot of ways, with the sailcloth and the fact that, you know, they're now coming down from Skyloft and exploring this uncivilized world. Totally fits in with being directly after Skyward Sword, so that pretty much negates the possibility of it being a Zelda 1 remake, but we'll carry on. The Skinny Chef says, personally, I'm tired of remakes. I would be fine with them releasing one big remake collection bundle, but I don't like the trend of new game remake, new game remake. I see the comparisons between this new Zelda Wii U title and the original Legend of Zelda, and I think the comparisons have merits. I'd be completely fine if this new Zelda Wii U game takes place in the same world as the original Legend of Zelda. I think more overworlds in the series could be revisited to give players a new adventure in a familiar setting, but I would not like for this new Zelda Wii U title to just be a remake of the original Legend of Zelda game. I mean, and that's something else that, you know, perhaps it isn't a remake. Perhaps, like A Link Between Worlds is not a remake of A Link to the Past, but repurposed that entire overworld and some aspects of the dungeons. Maybe that could be what they're doing with Zelda Wii U. Perhaps this game takes place hundreds of years after the original Legend of Zelda 1, or Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link, which is the most current game in the timeline. Maybe it takes place in that same landscape, but it isn't, but hundreds of years later. Ice Dragon 803 says, I personally think it would be great to see the original Legend of Zelda map put into a 3D environment, especially if the openness of the map is maintained. I feel that recently Zelda games have been heading into a much more linear direction, especially with Skyward Sword. It would be good to see a map that the only real limitations of exploring is needing an item to gain access to new areas. I think it is great to get a new item and to think back on all the areas that you have previously seen that you could utilize the new item to get to a new area. That is definitely a Zelda trope. Started, I guess, you know, back in the original Legend of Zelda, there was a whole area of the land you could not cross because you needed the stepladder. Once you had the stepladder, then you could get over into that area. Definitely could see that being utilized in the new game for sure. Sharp Clawsaurus says, I don't think it would be a bad thing if Zelda U was a remake of the original, but I genuinely feel like it could be a reboot of sorts. Link has a new look, there's a new fancy technology, and it's a completely open world. Maybe that is what future Zelda games are going to be like. Instead of each future game growing from the current tree of Zelda games, they could stem out from this one. This could be, and I'm sure it is, the next great benchmark in the evolution of Zelda. I don't think that Nintendo's so interested in rebooting anything. I think that they want to keep all of the Zelda games in a cohesive story. I don't think that we're suddenly going to get a new, as if all the other games had never existed and then this is the new story that they'll all stem from. I don't think that that's something that Nintendo's gonna do. I think that they want to keep all the stories interconnected, which Hyrule Historia showed us they actually are. Chandler Reldnock says, I personally don't think the new Zelda Wii U game is a remake, mainly because of the new enemy we saw in the trailer. Even if it is a remake and they just added the new enemy to it, I'd be okay with it. It would be a new experience because of the graphics and gameplay. That is a very good point. Mr. Inuma did specifically say this is a brand new enemy to the Zelda series. It wouldn't make any sense if this was a remake of the original Legend of Zelda to then suddenly have a brand new enemy. The whole point of a remake would be to just reutilize the stuff that was in that game that they're remaking. So it is leaning more and more away from it being a remake, in my opinion, to maybe it just takes place in the same land, but in a different era. The king himself, Daphne's Nohansen Hyrule, says, that would be amazing. Plus, there's that image floating around comparing Link standing on a cliff watching the sunset in Zelda Wii U to the official game art from the original Legend of Zelda that looks practically identical right down to the shape of the mountains in the background. I guess I probably should have read this one earlier when I was talking about exactly that. I mean, that is why I think that even if this isn't a remake, that it probably is taking place in that same landscape, but a new 3D version of it, probably hundreds of years later, or earlier, or at some other era, so that enough has changed so that you don't know exactly where the dungeons are and things like that. I really do think it's possibly that landscape. I guess only time will tell. We'll have to wait and see. That's it for this particular episode. Next week's topic is, with all this talk about it being a big giant open world and that sort of being thrust on us as this is what you guys want, so we're giving it to you, is that actually something you guys want? I'm not so sure, to be honest with you. So next week's topic is, since it is an open world, are you happy with that, or would you rather it go back to more of like an Ocarina of Time style where you could only get to certain areas in certain orders or things? Let me know in the comments down below. I will read those comments and talk about them in the next episode. If you want to listen to me babble endlessly about Nintendo news and stuff like that, you can visit my channel where I do exactly that. See you guys then. Bye.